What up, nerds, and welcome to another lacy episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for this evening. This is episode number 327, recorded Sunday, July 11th, 2021. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the first Patreon pick of the third quarter of the year. The movie is Blood and Lace from 1971. This one was chosen by Good Sir Luke. Before we get into the episode, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy, Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up, man?
Yeah! What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
That was a rip-roaring yeehaw. That's
I've been out in the pastures today, picking on berries and collecting no paycheck as I pay for the privilege of doing manual labor for a farmer. Labor. It was great.
Why are you picking on those poor little berries? What did they do to you? Leave them alone.
Fuck those berries, dude.
You can make wine?
Bitches in my freezer now. You know,
stomp on them, kick them around.
No, I'll definitely stomp on them.
Nice.
I gotta. Now that you say that, that's definitely gonna happen.
You should do it. Last but not least, calling in from some sort of like very sensual hotel room, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
Calling in from
What up, it's your boy Titty Stains. Go make me a Sammy and then go clean out the shed.
Yeah, all right.
That applies to the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, that probably sounds really strange. But yeah, okay.
No, it's normal.
Strange is not the descriptor I would use, but yes, it sounds like something. All right.
True.
How's that no-tell motel treating you, Soju? Looks like you're getting good use of it.
No, dude, I'm on vacay and I am kicking back. I'm going to do the whole
looks like hard work to me.
Maximum lounge behind the scenes for the ladies.
Yeah, it's really hot.
Men, avert your eyes.
Men can watch too. That's fine.
Yeah, we're inclusive around here, man.
Juice, what are you drinking?
Well, I have been drinking mojitos for a hot minute, but I have since switched to the DP rum. So I'll be drinking that for the rest of the cast.
For the second time in like 10 minutes.
Right.
We don't know what that means. You're going to have to break it down.
Doubly penetrated rum. It's what he...
come on, boys. Dr. Pepper. What else does DP stand for?
I think Rob just clearly made the current connection that we were all supposed to make.
Okay, we can't all live filthy lives like you boys.
It's
all right, man.
Down payment.
The Gator Lodge has really changed you, you know?
The Gator Lodge. That's an in joke right there. If you know, you know.
That's a locals joke.
Fucking duo. Before we get into the main event, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Here's another reminder. The August poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this August. The theme for August is weirdo art house bullshit. This is Randy's takeover month. 3 movies you can vote between are going to be Barbarian Sound Studio, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, and... correct me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but it's spelled Quidon, but
wrong.
It's Quidon, right?
Yeah, it's Quidon.
Quidon. Okay, gotcha. Juice, you gonna?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions to ask. First, Bob, how are those looking?
They're looking tight. Twin Peaks is still in the lead, and Barbarian Sound Studio and Quidon are tied for second place. So. Yeah. Now,
second, hang on. This is Randy's takeover month. This is the last takeover month of the year. So I had one. Bob had one. This is Randy's takeover. Randy, why did you pick art house bullshit as your theme?
I'm just leaning into the reputation, really. It's just
You're so cultured, Randy.
Well, that is the perception I would love for you to take away. No, I don't know. I like some of these. I like weird movies, like really bizarre horror movies in particular. And back when we were just ourselves picking in a round robin sort of situation, I toyed with picking these, but I kind of backed off of Twin Peaks because, I didn't want to spoil the show for one thing, which that movie does. But also because it's maybe too bizarre for people. I was a little bit wary of going too weird. And in this week, based on the reputations of the others and based on me wanting to watch that movie with you guys for so long, I just like, all right, let's just go for it. Let's just put them in there. One of these fucking things will finally get seen one way or the other.
Nice.
Have carte blanche. That's how I'm using it.
Now, here's a little fun fact. I had to drive a long way to get to where I am today. And in between just listening to Shuffle.
Is that a metaphor?
No. I had to drive a long way.
It's a long and winding road.
So in order to break up my music playlist, I threw on one of my favorite Straight Chillin' episodes, which is Halloween Resurrection. On that episode, you threatened to pick the movie that you picked, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me, on that episode. So that's been brewing for a long time.
But since before the reboot back in like episode 60, I've thought about picking that movie. But really, like besides the weirdness, it's like that movie does heavily ruin the experience of watching the show. So I didn't want to do that to you guys because at the time either of you watched it, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I've seen most of it now.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Halloween Resurrection, that was like almost 2 years ago, I want to say.
It was summer 2019,
Yeah, so like right about 2 years of Randy percolating on this, and finally it's come to pass. So make sure you get your votes in before the end of July, and we'll see what we're talking about this August. In other Patreon news, we do have a brand new mini cast available for you. If you support us at the $10 level or above, you get the chance to listen to a shitload of Patreon exclusive content. We've got like 40 bonus episodes up there right now, and that catalog just grows every month. Most recently, we dropped a mini cast on the Sons of Sam docu-series on Netflix. And Juice, that's you gibbering and jabbering. You want to talk a little bit about your mini cast?
Yeah, that's that was the one that came out, I guess, for June. Netflix usually drops like a true crime docuseries each month, and I've been following along with those for the most part on our mini cast for the $10 level. I really like that one. I don't want to like spoil my overall thoughts on it, but I've talked about it and what you've been watching, stuff like that too. But it's about Son of Sam, but it dives deeper into, it's really about this guy this journalist who kind of got caught up researching the Son of Sam and like doing really like this extensive research into like the belief that he didn't act alone and the kind of connections that go along with that. And it spans decades. It's wild. And it has like crazy connections to things possibly even like, Charles Manson and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting one. So if you've watched that or you're interested in watching that, check that out. It is one that I really enjoyed.
I dug that one a lot too.
Nice. Yeah, I actually just finished watching that this past week as well. That's a solid series. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, good shit. Some
Santanic Panic in there.
Yeah,
shit.
a dash of that.
Santanic.
For sure.
So smooth.
Also, all of those bonus episodes are they're exclusive to Patreon, but you can listen to them through any podcatcher of your choice. If you sign up on Patreon and support us, you get a RSS feed that you can drop into whatever podcatcher you prefer.
Around here, that means big money.
Yeah, so you don't have to just listen to them on Patreon, which is super convenient. So I feel like I should say that more often. Anyway. Final bit of Patreon news. We do have a brand new Patreon supporter we got to give mad shouts outs to. Big thanks to Samuel D for signing up on Patreon and showing us some love. It does mean a lot to us. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the podcast. And as always, we owe Samuel D the straight chilling salute. This one's for Sam.
Oh, God, slap me in the ass.
Oh, God, slap me in the ass. That's appropriate for vacation.
Oh, God. Oh,
God.
Samuel. Oh.
That room is an absolute wreck, I'm sure, on the other side of the camera.
If only you could see.
Just shit splattered on the walls, fucking condom wrappers everywhere. Of course, that's a joke. There would be no condoms.
Whoa, Randy, I'm not Raw Dog Rob over here.
What?
That's the most efficient passing of the buck I have ever heard.
Yeah. That poor DP rum, I tell you. I feel bad for your rum. God damn. That's all we got going on for Patreon. Juice, do you have anything you want to talk about?
I do have some things to talk about. So one is because I'm using the holiday weekend as an excuse. If you follow us on YouTube, you may have noticed that there was no Top 5 Tuesday drop this past Tuesday, which is our top 5 list come out on the first Tuesday of every month.
Riot streets, I swear.
Yeah, so even though I am on vacay this week, and last week was the holiday Tuesday, I will be dropping it this week, and it is going to be top 5 American Horror Story seasons. So if you didn't know, they just dropped a new trailer for a new season that'll be coming out soon within the coming months. And so I thought it was appropriate to go back and revisit kind of like my favorites, what I thought about that series. And there's just actually, to be fair, there's 9 seasons that have been released. The upcoming one is the 10th, I believe. And there is one that I haven't seen, Cult, which was the political one, which I just didn't have the stomach for at the time it came out, and I never have gone back to it. So all the other ones, though, I kind of went back, refreshed my mind, and kind of did a ranking and then picked the top 5 for this upcoming video. So that will be coming out this Tuesday on youtube.com/straight chilling podcast. And yeah, I think that's all my housekeeping.
The only thing I remember about that Cult season is the little dude that's in like all the American Horror Story seasons. I forget his name.
The little dude.
Little guy. I don't know. He's got like
the guy who plays
He's got blue hair. Yeah, Quicksilver guy. He makes like a Cheeto milkshake.
I'm gonna have to look up his name because this driving me nuts.
He makes a freaking Cheeto milkshake and like smears the Cheeto shit all over his face. It's like in the first episode.
That sounds terrible.
Strange.
I only watched a couple episodes of that, but then like Becky watched the whole thing and told me how it ends, and it's like that show. I swear to God, they will pack every conceivable plot point into a season.
I don't know why they do that.
I don't either, man. It's not. It's just overloaded with shit, and it's like, how did it get to that point?
As I was refreshing my mind, thank you, Evan. As I was refreshing my mind, I was like, man. So to be fair, American Horror Story, I'm glad it exists. It's a great, horror focused series. But almost every single season, if not every single season, follows that line of like, we have to have 5 or 6 things that we pursue that like 3 or 4 of them are completely unnecessary and unrelated to what should be focused
to
on.
Keep the wheels spinning at crazy speeds.
Every single time, like without fail. It blows my mind.
Me too, man.
I agree. They got that spin-off
show. Otherwise, I really love it.
That spin-off series starting up in like a week or 2. It's called American Horror Stories.
Yeah. That's a much better format for this creative group.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like an anthology.
Whether or not it'll translate that way, but yeah. Sorry.
It's an anthology, but like every episode is its own story. It's not like a continued series.
Now, if anything, that sounds like it could work better. Like you said, like I don't know.
I feel like the ideal would be like if they did 3 episode arcs and then just moved to the next thing and just kept like kind of like this Fear Street thing that's come out recently, which I guess we'll talk about. Later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and get into the main event. Without further ado, we're talking about Blood and Lace, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I would be deeply surprised if there's a box for this, but if there is, I feel like you have it.
So there is a box for this, and I do not have it. It's actually
I was dead wrong on both counts.
It's out of print. This was put out by Scream Factory stateside for the very first time. It was never put out stateside until Scream Factory dropped it on Blu-ray a few years ago. It maybe like 2015, something like that. But it is out of print, so if you want to pick it up on disc, you can, but you got to pay like stupid eBay prices, and it's going to run you probably like $30-$40, something like that. So it's out there,
man. The only other place to watch it that I found was Amazon Prime, and it's like a French fried fucking VHS asshole of a fucking transfer from VHS. It's terrible.
It looks
fucking awful looking.
Also, that's how I watched it. Yeah, it doesn't look.
Yeah, that's how I watched it too. Yeah. It did not do the movie any favors, and it needed a few.
I don't even remember how I watched it. Oh, on Hulu or wait, Amazon.
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 Yeah. Okay, then that's the one I watched too. Yeah.
Streaming on Prime.
The Mojito blood.
we got our boy Luke to thank for this one. Thanks again, Luke, for showing us some love, picking a flick for us to watch.
Thanks, Luke.
Kicking off the third quarter of 2021. We do appreciate it. This movie, Blood and Lace, not to be confused with Blood and Black Lace, the Giallo picture.
Dude, there's so many like variations on this title. We all had to clarify amongst ourselves and amongst
there were like at least 3 that were close, and then like 7 or 8 that weren't close at all. That were very funny.
Even on Amazon Prime, I think there was one that was like the Blood and Black Lace. I think was the one.
Lace and Blood Lace Black.
There was like some strip club, like shouts outs to Miles real quick on the Slack channel. It was like basically called Blood and Lace down the street from. He's like, yeah, instead of watching the movie, I just went to this fucking club for a few hours. It was tight.
I really want to hear the reporting from the field on that.
Yeah. So this movie's from 1971. The runtime is an hour and 27 minutes. Directed by Philip S. Gilbert, and it stars a whole bunch of people that I don't really recognize anybody in this movie. I don't know. You guys can, if you noticed anybody.
I recognized a couple, but not from anything that most people give a shit about.
Yeah. Gloria Graham, Melody Patterson, Milton Selzer, some other folks starring in it. The plot synopsis is as follows. After her prostitute mother is murdered, a teenage girl is sent to a remote orphanage run by a mysterious woman and her handyman, both whom she comes to suspect are hiding dark secrets.
Handyman.
The handiest mang in all the land.
True.
So, you want to know who these people were, or do we save that for a second?
Yeah. You can go ahead and drop it.
Okay, so I know them all as character actors from other things. Some of them I actually found out through IMDb, but some of them I recognized out the gate. So the owner, Mrs. Deere, the person who runs the foster or whatever, like the
orphanage
home.
Yeah.
She is actually from a great movie called It's a Wonderful Life, which I'm sure you guys have seen.
Haven't. Never have.
Oh, really?
The Christmas one?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She's Rob, watch that shit as soon as Halloween's over. All
right.
True. It's a great fucking movie. I love that movie. But she plays Violet in that movie, for those who are in the know of the movie.
We could
sex pot
cover. It's
I guess you kind of could. It's kind of dark for like half of the movie.
Wow.
I don't know. Anyway,
Santa Claus versus the Martians. Got to do it.
Vic Tayback is in this movie as the detective Carruthers, who I know from a show called Alice that my mom used to watch in syndication, in which they worked at it was 2 women that worked at a bad diner called Mel's Diner, and he was Mel. And this is the sitcom that immortalized the phrase "kiss my grits." That's a part of American culture that happened. "Kiss my grits" is a fucking phrase that people know if you're of a certain age. Kiss my grits. And there was Lynn Lesser, who I recognized him, but I didn't know his name or where I knew him from, is actually Uncle Leo from Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. And then Melody Patterson, who is Ellie Masters, the main woman in this movie. She was in, I believe it was Petticoat Junction or one of the, I don't know, like Green Acres or one of those fucking things. She was a sitcom actress back in the 60s, 70s, around the time this movie was made. So I think she was trying to break in. And based on the aspect ratio of the Amazon Prime transfer anyway, this might have been made for TV. I'm not sure, because it deals with some subjects that I might have tested the waters a little bit.
No, I don't believe it was made for TV. I think it was it did like the drive-in circuit for a while, and then just like died. Like it was never released on video or anything like that. Until, like I said, Scream Factory put it out stateside. It was available in like the UK. I think it might have been a Video Nasty as well, but yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
What an obscure pick, Luke.
Yeah. I want to know how Luke came across this movie.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Call in. leave us a voicemail. Let us know how you came across this, why you chose it for us, man. But Gentle Mangs, real quick, have you seen this movie before? And would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
I think it's pretty clear that none of us have seen this film. As far as recommend, no, not really. I mean, if you're looking for a silly, dated, kind of hits every cliche sort of made for TV-esque horror movie, I guess to laugh with your buddies at, maybe you could do this. I don't even think it's necessarily the best pick for that, but it's it doesn't bring a lot of uniqueness to the table. If you're just kind of looking to have something like that thrown on, some sort of throwbacky thing, if you're from this era and you'll get nostalgia vibes from it, sure. But otherwise, it's really not a big recommend for me at all.
All right, Juice, what about you?
Generally, no. I do think there is an audience for this film, but it is very specific and niche. So one is the time period, kind of like Randy mentioned a little bit, but it's got that washed out look. It's very much of its time. And of that, because it's early 70s, it's got a little bit of kind of like a slasher vibe, especially with kind of like the opening scenes and then some later scenes that are like misleading to the overall plot. But so if you really like are into 70s horror, which to be fair is just not, I've said it before, like it's just not my jam. Just the overall style is not for me generally, but I know people do like that. So I wouldn't recommend to general audiences, but if you like 70s horror cinema and you're curious to kind of see like an early kind of style slasher, it's not really, but it's got like hints of it, then you might find this interesting. But like I said, it's very specific niche group that would be recommended
specifically for the Tarantinos of the world that have to just see every movie.
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, Bob, would you recommend this film?
Well, to confirm, no, I had never seen it before. Would I recommend this film? I would only recommend this movie to someone who is like a real hardcore like slasher completist. This is not really an out and out slasher movie, but it definitely has probably some influence if I had to guess. So like outside of that,
or from
I would say, because
really
1971
on the slasher genre.
Yes, okay. Yeah, 1971's predates the vast majority.
It is pretty early. Yeah.
Any slasher movies, a lot of the Giallo stuff too. Yeah, that's really it though. Like if you don't have to see like every slasher movie, like don't watch this. Really, is what I would say. Sort of a lukewarm to not really a recommend from the Straight Chilling crew.
Pun there.
Luke. Warm. Damn, Luke, why are you so warm? Anyway, that's
warm hand Luke.
Warm.
Sorry.
Damn, he's so...
Damn, Luke, why are you so warm?
He's not hot, but that fucker is warm.
That's a warm motherfucker.
Damn. Fuck. Anyway, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning. We're getting into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
All right. Blood and lace.
I think I'm going to be the one defending this film today.
That is, if that happens, I will be truly
well.
surprised.
Now you are. I'm definitely going on the offensive now.
Calling your shots.
I didn't expect everyone to hate this film so much. I will say, to be fair, really? I went into this movie like really not wanting to watch it. And within even that first, there's this opening scene Bob, I'm sorry. Plot synopsis. Do you have a plot synopsis?
I got it. I did my job.
Right.
Let me read it real quick. Yeah. So
I've been drinking too much DP.
The mojitos are deep. Double penetrated.
Just DPing way too much tonight.
All right, Bob, get in.
Yeah.
Anal chugging fucking mojitos over there.
I got the plot synopsis typed out. Let me blast this real quick. So the movie opens up with a young girl by the name of Ellie Masters witnessing the murder of her prostitute mother and a John with a hammer. She never knew her father, and because of that, she is now orphaned. Ellie's social worker has a deal with the Deer Orphanage where he gets kickbacks for every kid he sends them. He's also sleeping with the owner of the orphanage, Miss Deer. Ellie gets dropped off at the orphanage, and we see Miss Deer and her handyman by the name of Credge. They're abusing the children that are staying there. Many of them run away and are punished via starvation, isolation, and even murder. A detective starts snooping around the orphanage. He says the killer may come after Ellie since she's the only witness to her mother's murder. The detective seems to have a bizarre sexual interest in Ellie as well. We then see a masked intruder sneak into the basement of the orphanage. We find out Miss Deer believes in the that sometime in the near future we're going to be able to reanimate dead bodies. Because of this, she keeps her dead husband locked in a freezer in the basement and talks to him regularly. They also keep corpses of the children they've murdered in the freezer. Miss Deer and Credge decide to kill Ellie because she is a troublemaker. They throw her in the freezer. The social worker then shows up and wants to search the house. As he's heard of several other kids running away, he ends up getting murdered by Credge. Credge then gets knocked out by the masked intruder. He then gets locked in the freezer with Miss Deer. Ellie ends up escaping. She warns the other kids to run for their lives. The masked intruder takes off after Ellie, and we find out Ellie is indeed the killer from the beginning of the movie. The masked intruder then reveals himself as the detective. He says he knew she was the killer all along. He snuck into the house with a mask on to scare Ellie and to see what Miss Deer would do if Ellie ran away. The detective then says he won't arrest her if she agrees to marry him. He also says he was the first person to have sex with her mother, which then lets us know that he is also Ellie's father. The film then ends with Ellie laughing hysterically. Roll credits.
Yeah, this movie has about maybe 75% of an American Horror Story season in it, worth of fucking
subplots,
subplots, and so on. I gotta give him credit though. Like, I think that like one of the things about this movie that works is that they have pretty much all the characters have something going on. Like they all have a motivation that we do understand on some level, which is actually not always the case on American Horror Story for me. I have a hard time with some of those.
Yeah. That's true. I actually thought for as many characters as they threw at us, they all were distinct and noticeably distinct in their appearance. Because in the 70s, sometimes people are just kind of become whitewashed. We watched that movie Bay of Blood and we were like, who the fuck are these people? This movie felt like each individual character, like you said, had a clear motivation.
And that motivation was they wanted to bang an underage girl.
Yeah,
everybody wanted to bang Ellie.
Most of the time, yeah.
God damn! Like, do something else.
Bang her. They were mad at her for being pretty.
So this was something that I found strange that I wasn't aware of. Now we say she's an underage girl. I'm not 100% sure if they say how old she actually is, but in this reality, what's going on here, and I assume was the regular law going on in the 70s, is these people did not have like autonomy, like freedom, until they were 21. So there's like a dude in here who's like 20 who can't leave this orphanage, which is crazy. So I don't actually know how old she is. Do you guys?
I think she's supposed to be 18.
Okay.
They say teenager in the show. I believe at one point or another.
But she's older than the 16-year-old.
She's a minor. They explicitly say minor for sure.
But a minor is somebody who's under 21 in this game.
Right. Apparently, because and here, that's the thing, like right from the beginning, they said she's a minor. I was like, but this woman is clearly like 27 years old. And then the guy, Walter, who is the sexy heartthrob country boy that she's like interested in, he's clearly in his early 30s. I don't know who they're trying to fool with that shit.
Yeah.
But I guess he's supposed to be the oldest boy there and theoretically 20 up going on 21 where he would be free or whatever to go do what he wants.
And the girl who's
it's very confusing
is clearly mid 20s.
Yeah, exactly.
She's 16. Her name is Bunch. Okay.
Her name's Bunch. That's, man, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that name.
Like Soju's 22.
I feel like I've heard the name, like somebody called Bunch in a movie around this time, like made around this time in the past sometime. Maybe that was like an acceptable name for people at one point, but I sure as hell never heard it before these movies that I've watched. And it's so fucking weird. It's
Bunch and Ellie are thirsty as fuck about this Walter dude. Like, dude, damn.
Their interaction when they meet is a really fucking funny. It's like, what's her name? Ellie comes in and she's, exploring the grounds on her first day or whatever. And she comes across Bunch. She's like, hi, I'm Bunch. Oh, hi, I'm Ellie. How's it going? And they're like, having a nice chat. And then they see Hunkster McGee over in the corner, like hauling logs or whatever the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, he's hauling some logs.
And she's like, oh, it's not all bad though. And she's like, but that's my boyfriend. And so Ellie goes like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go meet some of the other people. And immediately beelines for this guy and is like, hi. Just immediately starts laying it on. And later on, she's like, why do you hate me, Bunch? It's like, maybe it's because I told you I had a boyfriend and then you immediately started hitting on him.
But now, to be fair, the guy's dating. Like, he's like, I'm clearly not interested in her.
But she did not know that.
True. No, I think that's one of the problems too, is because I think it's the audience, it's not clear to the audience that this is supposed to be a 16-year-old girl, because she's not.
And that's another thing. Yeah, because their ages are so nebulous that we're like, oh, okay, so she's dating this 25-year-old's dating this 30-year-old. Okay.
Sure.
And then Ellie's like immediately goes and hits on her, at least what she's told is her boyfriend. And we're like, okay, Ellie, what the fuck?
And to be honest, the whole 21 thing, it had me confused, but also like intrigued just for like history's sake. I was like, wow, that sounds very strange and peculiar. And that's in my own country. I don't even know what the fuck's happening. So,
the drinking age was still 18 in the 70s. And was it? You could go to war at 18, I believe.
But you just couldn't even orphanage?
When the interstate system was in it. The interstate system was implemented, I believe, and somebody's probably going to correct me because I'm probably talking out of my ass. But my understanding is that when that happened, part of the deal to make the interstate system was to federally mandate the drinking minimum age as 21 instead of 18, which was state by state at the time, I believe.
Interesting.
I want to highlight real quick that we're talking about the differences between 1971 and 2021. This movie came out literally 50 years ago. It's like the 50th anniversary of this movie,
that's the second one we've done this year.
It is. Yeah, that's
crazy.
That is insane to consider. A lot has changed, and it makes sense that we wouldn't realize that maybe you can be 21 in an orphanage in 1971. Like, we clearly weren't fucking alive back then,
No.
That's pretty wild to consider. I want to talk about the beginning of this movie a little bit. When I mentioned the top of the show, how this is probably somewhat influential upon the slasher genre. Okay. As soon as the movie started, it just made
the first person.
Yeah, the POV shot of the killer stalking a house, walking around the outside, walking inside, pulling open a drawer, pulling out a knife. Like it's all like very reminiscent of Halloween, like the way Halloween opens up. And it's hard for me to believe that like John Carpenter didn't watch this movie back in the day when it came out. Like I don't know. It feels like he had to have seen it at some point before making Halloween. Yeah, I would think so. As a filmmaker,
the shot with the hammer, I could totally see that. Now it also reminded me of that movie, Bob. Maybe you can help me. And this is why I think it like triggered. I was like, man, I really don't want to watch this movie when it first started because that hammer scene, Jesus Christ, the slow, like moving with the focus on the hammer forever. I was like, this is a movie that would be on Joe Bob, because it reminded me of that fucking movie where he was covering the VHS segment where it was like, oh, movie shot directly to VHS, not going through film. Yeah. And it was that movie that would show the fucking house.
Sledgehammer.
Yeah. Like it really, really reminded me a lot of Sledgehammer. I was like, I bet that movie had to be influenced by this one, because there were so many shots that lined up. I was like, man, this feels like very similar.
Yeah, I don't know that movie, but like the hammer cam, man, like the thing is they had the hammer in focus for all of that shit. So literally you're just watching a hammer go around up front of a bunch of blurry colors for like 2 full minutes.
They clearly just like taped the hammer onto the camera and we're walking around like, because it never moves at
points
all.
For ingenuity, but Jesus, let us see where it's going.
It's so stationary. That shit's funny. And it lingers and lingers and lingers, and they finally get to the kill sequence, and they've got that like very clear like paint like red ass paint coming out of like the wounds on the faces and shit.
Yeah.
It's
and the way they shoot this, it's like pro wrestling style, where like the hammer raises and then goes down, and then they cut to some splatter and then cut back. It's like hard cuts right on the impact to try and trick you into thinking that things are landing, but
I wasn't
so
tricked.
Slowly that, it doesn't trick anything.
Yeah, those shots were pretty rough. And that's why, as I said, now I'm going to give this movie a little credit. I said, like, I might be the one defending it. When I started, I like didn't, especially because of that scene. One, it reminded me of Sledgehammer, and we had watched Sledgehammer on Joe Bob. I was like, this is absolute garbage to me. Like, I hate everything about this. So immediately it reminded me of Sledgehammer. That shot of the hammer coming down and like cutting to the blood was bad. It was really bad. So starting off with this movie, I was like, I'm not big on the 70s. I'm not big on that washed out look. So I just was like negative, all for me. Now, I will say the way that this movie picked up and some of the subplots, I don't think they're all fleshed out entirely, but because they kind of like made it a point to make each one of these characters kind of interesting, I will say that by the end of this movie, I was like pretty impressed with how it was able to pull my attention back in, because by the end of this, I was like, hey, that's not half bad. Even with some of like how they ended it with her laughing maniacally and like her dad, I was like, you know what? They didn't flesh out some of these things that they teased me with, which I actually thought was pretty interesting. But by the end of it, I was like, hey, these twists and turns, I feel like they earned them. And like they really did kind of pull my attention back in. I'm going to give them credit for that, because starting this movie off not wanting to watch it at all and then ending it being like pretty like or like slightly impressed or surprised, I was like, hey, that's pretty good.
I wouldn't agree that it's like the plot points are all that interesting on and of themselves. What I will give credit to is that, like I said earlier, like the characters are acting at least moderately within the realm of possibility for what their motivation is. And it's clear what those motivations are for the most part. And so it's easy to follow along and see where it's diverging, where the subversion's supposed to be. So it at least feels like a story, even if it's just really kind of like plot twists tossed in a blender by the end of it. And, I don't know if it's really, I don't know if they earned those plot twists necessarily, but they put in the groundwork for them. And that's more than we can say about a lot of movies that kind of fit into this, really low budget, drive-in circuit sort of shit. So I give credit on that end, but
some of these subplots, like though, I think one of the ones I found most interesting and like at this time, like, oh, that's somewhat unique, or this surprised me for this movie, was the woman who owns the orphanage. And it turns out, like, at first she's just a piece of shit. Like, she like doesn't care about the children. She's in it for the money, and that would be enough. And that's what you think it's going to be. And then it takes a bit of a turn where it starts talking about how she keeps her dead husband in a freezer. It's got a little bit of a psycho vibe, kind of, but she keeps him alive. But she's got this motivation of, it's her belief that it's almost scientific in a way that death.
She's got a Frankenstein belief.
Yeah, that death is not the end, that it's temporary. And so even it's this justification that she uses for killing these kids in a way that, like, I'm preserving you. I'm actually kind of doing you a favor, because when you are resurrected, or science like catches up to us and death is just temporary, you'll be young and preserved young. And so she keeps these kids in a freezer. And I was like, man, it would have been so easy. I guess it would have been so easy for her to just be a piece of shit woman who just is in it for the money. Like, that's easy and that's fine. Okay. But I found that interesting and surprising, I guess.
I think that's interesting, but I think it's fucking pretty unnecessary. And like, I think you could argue that it adds nothing to the plot in general. I don't know what, like, I guess the only thing it adds is like her having her husband in there, maybe, but like her whole thing throughout the movie is like she resents Ellie for being attractive. And later on, Ellie confronts her about this, like, why do you hate me? Because I'm beautiful, or whatever she says. And she's like, quite the contrary. I want to keep you just the way you are. And then that's sort of like I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but I don't think it's necessary to have her have a Dr. Frankenstein complex. I think it's more than enough to have her be the fucking whatever, I forget her name, but the little orphanage owner type of character. Like, that's plenty interesting, especially because she's also like screwing the department or whatever, the social worker guy. And he wants to, like, everybody wants to fuck the kids in this fucking place. So it's just really fucking weird. And it's just one of those things that's the reason it feels like American Horror Story to me, where it's like, there's these somewhat interesting avenues that would be interesting as the premise of a movie in their own right, but are kind of just thrown in like too many toppings on a fucking pizza. It's like, okay, I guess we'll have a fucking anchovy here for some reason.
I think the Miss Deer character is intriguing in a couple different ways. One, like, she's very bitter about like aging and, quote, like not being young and beautiful anymore. Like, she's not a bad looking lady, but she like takes it really fucking hard.
She's literally a sex pot in the fucking It's Wonderful Life. She's like the one that guys are like looking at and like almost getting hit by cars trying to stare at and shit like that.
But Miss Deer is like talking to Ellie about like, I used to be beautiful back in the day, but now it's all squandered. So like, she's obviously like trying to like buy into this being able to like resurrect people from the dead because of that. But also like it lends her character some intrigue in the way that like death basically means nothing to her. Like, she can murder these kids, and in her mind, it's like they'll be back eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that at least gives her
anything.
like a flavor that's distinctive from Credge, who is like kind of like a stock standard con man piece of shit rapist. So like, honestly, I think that works fine because he's a good hatchet man for the big bad who has like grand designs on things, I guess. So in that respect, I think they're a good sort of like almost on some level like a Disney villain duo sort of thing. They're Jafar and Iago sort of thing going on.
Yeah, they do kind of feel like that.
Yzma and whatever, Crunk or whatever sort of thing.
Crunk?
Yeah.
Getting crunk?
Crunk.
Bob doesn't know about that. He hasn't seen Emperor's New Groove.
Come on,
I haven't yet. It's on the list. Dear God.
Oh my God.
I
know. I would just say, I guess it just like I guess it wasn't necessary, and so I felt like that I had to give the director a little bit of credit, because it was like, if you were just phoning it in, it would have been just so easy to be like, they're a piece of shit. Yeah. But I think
it wasn't just like blood shock. They were going for psychological shock, what passed for psychological shock in the 70s cinema. And they were packing it in. And that's one way of packing it in, is giving this, lady a one extra level. And I don't think it's necessary. And I don't think that anything in this movie is developed enough to really earn it. But I think that it's interesting enough to make it distinctive. And that has value.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off though, I think.
No, it's okay. But like there were other moments like that where I guess like not only do I feel like each one of these characters like has a understandable and not necessarily realistic motivation, but like something that you can understand, but they also take it in an interesting direction. Like I said, like with her, she could just easily be a piece of shit. And like in that self, like the money is the motivation. And so that would have worked fine. Another one, to the whole twist with the cop. We got to talk about this detective, and like some of it doesn't make sense. And I think actually one of the biggest problems that I ended up having with this movie after the fact and I reflected on is they have these interesting kind of aspects, but almost kind of like American Horror Story. They don't really focus on one or flesh each one out. It's just like each one of these are kind of surface level for me. And there are so many of them. So the cop is another one, where he's rolling around with this mask, which to me, I told Bob, kind of reminded me of the grandpa face in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, actually, that is what I was trying to pinpoint what it reminded me of. That is exactly it.
Yeah, that was it.
It also reminded me of the mask used in the movie Curtains, which is another slasher movie from the 80s. It's like an old lady mask with like long stringy hair. It just kind of looks like that a little
bit. Kind of. But definitely, like, it looked like Grandpa, but without the flesh makeup on. Like, it was just gray or whatever. And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe it's a similar or same mask. But anyways, his kind of motivation of where he's like infatuated with this girl and then he ends up being the father, but you don't know if he's ever going to find out. And he's like essentially blackmailing her to marry and have sex with him. But
it's
that's
already fucked up.
Yeah, that's so dark and twisted that I was like, it's already fucked up. The cop and his whole explanation about like, I did this to trick you or whatever. Yes. I was like, that's bullshit. Like that's ridiculous.
No fucking sense.
It makes
I just want to see what they do is like, if you, oh my God, I don't know, man. That's some bullshit.
The cop also like seems as though he intends to breed.
Carruthers is his name.
Yeah, the Carruthers. He intends to breed with his daughter because he says something along the lines when he's talking to the social worker when they're like meeting up at a bar in the first like third of the movie that he's got some sort of like he's looking for like
I got it right here,
fertile breeding ground or something.
He says, "You know, Hal, when you get to be my age, you start sniffing around for good breeding stock."
Yeah,
like
what the fuck?
That's his daughter he's talking about. Like
even if it wasn't.
Now here's the thing that one of the so he knows nothing, but even the fact that like at the end he's like now I know it's for the plot point of him admitting to this girl that he slept with her mother, and not only that, he was the first person to sleep with her mother. But it's like, so I know you need that as a plot point, but him as a character, it's just like, why would you even say that in such wow?
It's like, guess what? I fucked your mom too. Like what? Raw dogged it. Good memory. Like anyway, let's bang it out because I have blackmail over you.
You gotta.
The whole thing is like really. Sorry, Rob.
I was gonna say you got to invest in Robert rubbers.
And the Robert rubbers for all your incest porn needs. So it's a really fucked up situation. I think the whole to me it's like it's convoluted and it's really bizarre to where like you've got this guy who is a former movie theater employee who became a detective because nobody else wanted to work just weekends.
Like theater, not movie theater, but like theater. That's why he has the access to the mask and all that shit. It's like acting.
Okay, I didn't put that together. They actually laid some beams down for this fucking thing.
Because even in the end, he was like, "Oh, it's just theater makeup." So I was like, "Hey, they even like set that up." Like, okay.
Well, in any case, like, so yeah, like this is, and also like they really hound on fucking on Ellie's mom. It was like she laid with every guy in town, probably some traveling salesman, all this shit. And I'm like, my God, like this is clearly a troubled person. Like everybody fucking hates this woman, but they all apparently fucked her. All of them. It's crazy.
And that was an interest. I actually see after the end, I actually think that's an interesting way to take, because even during the movie, I was like, I don't like this woman of Ellie. Like okay, I know her mom's a prostitute, but we saw her get murdered and she just like treats her like shit. And she herself is just not that great of a person. So again, it was another one of those movies where it's like, I don't really have anybody to kind of follow here. And I'm giving this girl who I'm supposed to feel kind of sympathetic towards and stuff like that. And I was like, I just don't, because she in herself kind of sucks. Like the way they like set her up with Bunch and like that whole situation. And so I was like, she just kind of sucks. Like, you know, the situation's not great, but her personality sucks too. But then she's the killer. And I was like, okay. Like that's pretty good to make me not care about this girl for the whole point and then say like, oh, there's a reason you're not supposed to care her. She's a killer. Like that's pretty good. I think that's
about
solid.
That Bunch care, like that whole thing with Bunch and Walter and all that shit. Like trim that out of the movie. Same fucking movie. Like that's the definition of unnecessary shit in the movie.
True.
I don't know, man. Like, and go ahead, Bob. You sound like you got something to say.
There was one scene towards the end that really cracked me up where like Bunch eventually does seduce Walter and they're like about to have sex and there's like somewhere in there Ellie just like asks Walter like, how many women have you made love to? And he just like says hundreds.
Hundreds.
That is
hundreds.
insanity. Like,
Yeah.
And what, you boys haven't had sex?
They
with
played it
hundreds
straight
of
too.
women?
It's like, oh, hundreds. It's like, what the fuck are you
mean,
talking about, dude?
This dude's 21.
You are a walking
You're
venereal
21.
disease.
Hundreds of women. Yeah, I don't know about
You
that.
are
Not just 100.
hundreds. Multiple hundreds.
Man,
so many.
Walter's got that leaky ass dick. That's not a clean peen. Like, Bunch is about to get a bunch of STDs.
Actually, I think that's
She's all about it.
I think that's super clean because he was clearly lying about having sex.
Yeah,
with
and
her.
that. Well, I mean, we know he's lying because we have realistic brains, but this movie seems to think that he's telling the truth because they do not play it as like. And she didn't like. There was no question. She's like, "Wow!" And I bet in all those, you might have slept with my mom or something. And it turned into some other.
No. I think she called it out because she gives like a sly smile and she goes, "That's what I thought." Like, I'm pretty sure she was like,
maybe I misread
bullshit.
the situation. But
I thought so.
Okay, well, that was so fucking weird, and it was kind of funny
Because essentially he's about to be 21, but we know that he's been stuck in an orphanage.
Yeah.
So like that's not realistic in any way. They don't even let him leave the grounds.
And and here's another thing. Walter is another piece of shit. Not like for multiple reasons, but I'm sitting here thinking, okay, they've got a girl tied up for multiple days with no food or water in the attic, and he's just like, oh, she's just being punished. It's not a big deal. It's like, fuck you. What is this bullshit?
I mean, I'd see, okay, if you are able to take the idea that this man's supposed to be 20, which is absurd, I understand. But if you take that and you don't know how long he's been there, I see that was another aspect that I thought they touched on well, where it was kind of like that whole, you see it even in like World War II movies or something like that, where there's like one, or even like in, Django Unchained or something, where there's like one person who's supposed to be on the inside, but they get treated a little bit better, they get a little bit extra, and then because of it they're willing to like sell out their peers or whatever.
What is he getting extra?
But obviously I felt like the
just not getting
punished. The woman, treated him more nicely. And even I thought there was like a little bit of like sexual undertones going on there because we already know that she's sleeping with that guy for like special privileges.
Everybody's raping everybody.
Sure.
Everybody's raping these fucking
hundreds of women.
But it's not in a movie that's very explicit with every plot point. It doesn't make that explicit at all.
I thought it wasn't explicit. I thought the suggestions were there that he's the oldest. He's the best looking. We know that this woman's deviant. He has like no hesitation to go to her and say like, this woman's like, or this girl Ellie's leaving or whatever. So I took it as
if it was American Horror Story, they definitely would be fucking.
Yeah. So I just took it as he had like special privileges. He was kind of that like inside snitch or whatever, because the younger kid
to that end for my taste,
because the younger kid has no hesitation whatsoever to be like, I saw them like Ellie in a freezer. We need to get her the fuck out. And everybody else who's like older him is like, oh, like I'm not going to do. See, that was another indication when he tells her like one of us is locked in the basement and literally, and also when he's like, run, we got to run. Like all the other kids just stand there and stare at him like he's a dumbass. So I don't think
where are we going to go where?
Yeah.
And it's like that
hungry ass Pete.
That doesn't.
It's like I don't think it's
hungry
I don't.
ass.
He's so hungry all the time.
That kid just wants food, man.
I don't think it's fair to just like put it all on shit. What's that dude's name? The stud.
Walter.
What's his name? Walter. I think it's all put on Walter when they give you indications of other kids like not having any reaction either. Like pretty much everybody knows what's going on, and everybody in a way is helpless in a way, or they're just trying to get by, or they're like, I'm not going to do shit because I don't want to get punished. So I don't think that's so unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's not that it's unbelievable. It's that I don't know if my friends are being fucking tied up and tortured. I guess I'm not like so quick to defuse subterfuge and be like,
oh, golden boy Randy over here. Damn.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to let my friends fucking die because I'm afraid of not getting supper. Like,
thanks for being a good person.
What a
Randy.
fucking hero, am I right? God.
Okay, yeah, I'm the piece of shit here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because like at a certain point in the movie where like all the kids are warned and it seems they have a moment in time where they could run away and escape. They're just like kicking rocks, like there's nowhere to go. They don't know what to do.
I understand institutionalization. I understand being afraid, and they're are victims. All those kids are victims of this horrible situation. And I'm not saying that it's not the case, but this is a dude who's almost or is 21 and is so afraid of being like, he's afraid to run away because where will I go? It's like, dude, you're fucking 21 and a stud. If you can go fucking till the fields. Yeah, join the army. Fucking till fields for somebody who isn't torturing your friends.
Yeah.
You could he could punch Credge in the face and Credge would go the fuck down. That's like, he's a young man who's brawny as shit. He could clearly take that old dude in a fight. And it's just, to me, it's like if somebody's saying these things to you, like, oh, I got to get out of here. They're torturing somebody. Do you know this? And you're like, yeah, but you know, she's just being punished a little bit. It's no big, like, fuck you. Like, I watched. Now, see, that was another moment that I really liked. I would say, like, the ending for this movie, almost like I was perked up and I was like, I was surprised. I'm not 6 to midnight.
I bet.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I was completely engaged. And when Jennifer, I think it is, closes the door on that bitch in the freezer, I was like, I don't know. I found that like so rewarding. I was like, fuck yeah. Especially after
the fact that it was her, because she's like the only blameless person in this movie aside from maybe hungry ass Peter.
He's so hungry. He just wants a sandwich and he just sees a bunch of shit that he shouldn't see. I love that character. That's perfect.
But he like goes out on a limb and he's like tells everybody about it, tries to break her out and shit. Pete's a baller. But after that scene where the orphan owner or whatever, the orphanage owner, she drinks the water in front of Jennifer or whatever, and then to have Jennifer like close her in the after, now this bitch is dragging her help like into the freezer and like talking all kind of shit and like, oh, you're gonna be resurrected, no problem, and then like gets closed on the freezer. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I don't know, it really made me care about these people and have an actual reaction when they got their like just reward. And I was like,
look, I love that moment, and I love that girl got to do it. But answer me this: how'd she get unlocked? How did she get down there? Yeah, this movie is very fucking sloppy. Yeah, that's like true. That's a satisfying conclusion.
Oh no, we know.
Do we know?
We know. The cop.
Enlighten me, please.
The cop had the mask, and the last time that Ellie saw him, he was upstairs and he was releasing her, and Ellie thought that he was killing her, but
because you only saw him for a second. That's right. I forgot that they had that,
and that's why he leaves, because he's chasing Ellie. So like he's up there releasing Jennifer, finding out what's going on. He runs after Ellie, and so Jennifer's free. So boom.
I actually really liked that too, because it reminded me very much of, and it's not intentional, it's just my brain worked this way. It reminded me of the furry scene from The Shining, where it's just like a dude in a mask caught in the act, like, oh boy,
someone's getting blown. That's weird.
Okay, well, I'll give you that. Then I really did thought that was a great way to end that off with like the victims coming through, but she's the only one that fights back besides Ellie, and that was disappointing to me. I feel like it could have been like a good like uprising situation, or alternatively, if this had the benefit of years of slashers at its disposal, it could have been picking off the kids the whole time and then just finding kids and saying like, well, shit, we didn't even murder this one. Like, how did this happen? Well, put them in the freezer and just have them stacking up. But they didn't do either of those things. And to me, it was just like, it was kind of, I don't know. It just, there was so much they could have done with that, and Peter's the only one that fought back. And except for that other girl, like those are the only two people that fought back besides Ellie. And Ellie's kind of a piece of shit for a number of reasons. It's just there wasn't a lot of people in this movie to again, like it's another situation where I wish there was somebody that I really felt connected to in this movie. And also, we do have a point of view character through Ellie, but the whole like she is maybe the least comprehensible in terms of the decisions she makes, except for Carruthers.
I would say another now to back that up. So I defended that one, but one thing that's like stupid and absolutely ridiculous is when the help, what's it, Credge or whatever, what's his name? Credge. When he's chasing that first kid and he like throws the knife and it like cuts.
The butcher's knife. I love that. Oh my god, I have a note here somewhere.
So stupid.
At the time, I thought this is another movie where like I was bored, so I wrote notes to keep myself engaged. watched, and I eventually had to I stopped taking notes because it got me enough entertained to where I was good to go.
Yeah.
The plot moved along. So to credit to this movie, but at that scene I wrote, I thought that was the foster dad. I thought it was a foster dad or something.
Oh,
So, okay, foster dad abuses and chases a kid who tries to escape. Kid freaks out and hugs a tree. Foster dad hurls a fucking butcher's knife at him and then acts surprised when it chops off of the kid's hand.
He did act surprised.
He's like, he threw it at him and the hand goes, oh shit.
That worked. Oh, fuck.
And then the kid goes off and dies like a cat under a porch. It was fucking weird.
God damn. That's right.
Oh, man.
His face of shock is hilarious. Oh, I did it.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Gentlemen, I think it's about time to land that plane. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we rate this movie?
I do want to point out one more thing, because I'm looking at these notes. I'll probably chime in with a couple more at some point, but at appropriate times. There is a Cooter fight in this movie for Credge versus Carruthers.
Yeah.
There's a fucking Cooter fight, multiple Cooter fights in this, and Credge gets it in the end.
There you go. Yeah.
I was excited to see the two principal fucking Cooters, except for I guess the social worker guy. I wish he had been in there. It could have been a real Freddy versus Jason versus Chucky situation.
That was a pretty solid scene, though. I'm not gonna for two people who you. Well, I did.
I was
You
excited
don't
to see them fight, but their fighting is very dumb looking.
Well, yeah, it is dumb. But I guess just the idea of pitting them against each other. I guess the idea of there's a hero who is not a hero, and but you need
anti-hero.
Yeah, you need him to win so that other people benefit, but he's also a piece of shit.
That's
I don't know.
very
It's
American Horror Story. I can't. Just because we talked about that, it's crazy how on the nose I think that is you have killers that are working towards positive ends, even though they're piece of shit killers and Cooters in their own right.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tight. All right, let's go ahead and rate this thing out of 5. Juice, why don't you kick us off how you feel about Blood and Lace?
All right. So starting off, this movie it's just not my flavor. I don't like that washed out 70s look. The acting follows that time period and the type of movie this was, and it's not particularly good. It's not what I like. So this movie was already kind of coming back, coming from behind. And so I found some of the subplots interesting. But I also think I got to knock it for not necessarily fleshing those out. So let me start with the orphanage owner. I always forget her name, but I like that they, Miss Deer. I like that they didn't make her just sadistic and just a piece of shit. I like the idea of her justifying things through this crazy idea. However, that the reveal and the implication of her being actually crazy and talking to her husband and stuff like that, I didn't feel like that had any kind of real impact for me and didn't really change anything
because of the implication.
Yeah, it didn't really do anything. So I was man, they could have up that or something like that. The reveal that there was this frozen old man that we'd never seen or care about. I was like, okay. So it built it up and then it kind of fell flat. I did like the reveal of, we already knew that the detective was a piece of shit. Now I liked the reveal of him being had sex with your mom and all that stuff. And I actually really liked the ending. However, to counterbalance that is his stupid fucking plan of wearing a mask and chasing this chick around with a fucking hammer. It's that makes no goddamn sense. 0%. So this movie has ebbs and flows for me, and it's already coming back from behind. So normally with that, I would say okay, I would give it a 2.5 because it's 50-50. But because I don't like the style and I don't think the acting's particularly good, I'm going to end at a 2. Now, this is something on my part, and I'm sorry for this, but I need y'all's help. I can't remember. Are there Yabos in this? I know they like tease Bunch a lot. They don't actually. Okay, so this is going to end at a 2-star for me. Bob.
Man of principle.
Yo.
Yeah, Bob, out of 5. How do you feel about Blood and Lace?
Generally speaking, I didn't really dig this movie. I do have like a blanket sort of soft spot in my heart for slasher movies, and this does sort of lean slasher. It's not like an outright slasher per se, but I appreciate it in that I feel like this did influence like the slasher subgenre. Like this obviously predates Halloween, but it also like predates Black Christmas. A lot of people look at like Black Christmas being like the granddaddy in a way and like really influencing Halloween, but this came 3 years before that even. So that's
Granddaddy.
just like, yeah, this is the granddaddy. It's just like,
did you say this predates Giallo too? Is that true?
A lot of them. No, I think Giallo like probably kicked off in like 68. So like not entirely.
Because this does, like, based on our conversation last about Bay of Blood, I think this hits a lot of those markers.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. So it predates a lot of Giallo, but I don't think all Giallo. But it's definitely like early on. So I think that's just
it feels more Giallo than slasher to me, is why I ask.
Yeah, and they sort of influence one another in a way, but I don't know. Like I got a lot of problems with like the technical.
It's the missing link. Ooh,
kind of, yeah. Like the technical aspects of this movie are rough. There's a lot of like ADR that clearly happened that just like is bad. It's poorly done. Yeah. The acting isn't particularly great. No. I'm sure the Scream Factory disc looks a lot better than what we saw on Amazon Prime, but it looks rough. Yeah, let's hope so. It's just it's like it feels kind of like gross too, that like everybody just wants to like have sex with this like underage girl. It's just like icky feeling. I do want to like give some shouts outs to like the ending. I really was shocked and surprised by the ending. I did not see that coming at all. It's still like gross, but I don't know. I was surprised by it. I did think that there was like a legit killer in the movie, and it turns out that's not the case. It's really just our main character is the killer, and her dad, who also wants to bang her, is the one wearing the mask that we see. So, like, I was surprised by the plot as it unraveled, but it felt sort of like gross, generally speaking. I don't know. I think I'm going to land at a 2.5 on this. Like it's not great, but I do have sort of a soft spot in my heart for that sort of like proto kind of slasher kind of shit going on here. Also, like the music that was used in this movie like wasn't scored for this movie. I think it was all like just
I can tell
free bullshit. But there's like this one like theme that's featuring like a theremin in it that's like really like old school spooky, and I fucking love that shit.
I thought you would like that.
Really dig it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna land at a 2.5 for this one. Randy,
wow,
how you feel?
That's surprising.
That is surprising. Let me start by saying, okay, about the ending. Neither of you guys thought that Carruthers would be her dad?
I wasn't thinking of it. No. I mean, I
don't know. From the moment he said to the social workers, like, he's like, "Oh, have you ever slept with Ellie's mom?" And he's like, "Yeah, once before she went professional." I was like, "Okay, so you could be her dad."
I don't think I cared at that point. Is the problem.
And then I also knew he was the guy in the mask. I was like, I think I guessed pretty much all of the twists. I just didn't think they would all happen concurrently. I think that was kind of the issue. So I was slightly surprised. I was like, okay, so it was literally everything. And then some shit about Dr. Frankenstein belief that Mrs. Deer had for some reason that we will never know. Okay, so yeah, this is like all the complaints I had earlier still hold true. I think this is a movie that managed to entertain me enough to keep my attention by the end. It took some doing on the movie's part, and I give it credit for that. I think that the characters, for all of their flaws and all of their lack of setup and some things, they did have motivations that set up the ending they were going for. It seemed like they were just aiming for every shock factor they could, and they did for the most part, lay the groundwork for those shocks. There was too much of it, and it was too disconnected. Like, there's no reason to have a Dr. Frankenstein subplot. There's no reason to have a like fucking love triangle with characters who don't factor into the plot at all. Like, there's just a lot of sloppiness going on here, and that extends to the filmmaking itself. Like Rob said, there's bad ADR in this movie. There's bad filmmaking. The fucking hammer walking in front of blurriness, it almost lost me right from the fucking jump because of that shit. And they went back to that same shot over and over again, and actually did get better at it. I noticed they did manage to at least move the fucking hammer slightly over so you could kind of see the blobs doing shit in the background. But yeah, all that shit holds true. And Justin's right. Like, Carruthers' plan is the most nonsensical plan of all time. I wrote this down. I was like, after watching this, I wrote these notes. I wrote, okay, so Ellie killed her mom. The John survived, she thought, and came after her. Only it wasn't the John. He died from his wounds. It was the detective in a rubber mask. It was a ruse intended to, quote, see what they do if, quote, he used her as bait, or if he, quote, used her as bait. Then he blackmails her into marrying him. She agrees to avoid prison. Then he, impromptu of nothing, mentions he was the first man her mom had slept with, which, according to Ellie's mom, was her father. So she's now being blackmailed into marrying her own father. That's the big twist ending. And I had to write it down in order to make sure I had it. But yeah, that's a shocking series of events or whatever, but I don't feel that shit's earned at all. I think that like they laid some groundwork, but none of that shit makes any fucking sense. The Carruthers character is just a total X factor, and the fact that I could guess that he was the killer just from body language and and knowing that he was sexually active with her mom, like, that's not fucking good. So there's a lot of problems with this movie to me, but it did, like I said, it managed to keep me entertained for the most part. By the end of the movie, and the characters were distinctive. After watching Bay of Blood, I really feel like this was a step in the right direction of actually having a discernible plot, and maybe that's the bar that I feel like we're hurdling over with this one. So with that in mind, I give it a 2 as well. Yeah, some of these notes I wrote are fucking. Oh, did you notice also craft wise? Did you notice that the hospital room was? I'm pretty sure it was just a hotel room or a motel room with pink cloth lining the walls for some reason. And when she walked out of the hospital, it was clearly like, I don't know, like an office, and they had like a yard sign, like you'd have like a political yard sign that said hospital on it. It was not good.
I did not.
That's what it looked like to me. And again, I was watching a bad transfer, so maybe it was just me misreading what the visuals were, but it looked like that. And I was like, it said like whatever it was, like Memorial Hospital or some shit, and that's it. No address, no, and like, it's a small thing, but I was like, this looks so cheap, fucking cheap.
There's not
put
really
a fucking sandwich board out there and said hospital. It would have been the same thing.
There's not really any trivia for this. One thing I did see, apparently the budget was around $200,000, which, I mean, it's the 70s, so that goes more than today, but still,
that's pretty fucking low.
Yeah.
I wrote at one point, she says the fucking officer, the social worker says, Ellie's like arguing about, I want to go off on my own. He's like, well, you're a minor. And he says that as we're staring at a shot of this woman. This is what I wrote. He says this as she stares at him in a tiny teddy and panties. I wrote, this is some penthouse porno VHS bullshit minus the porno.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. It really felt like porn minus the porn.
Sounds like something Bob's got in his closet.
Yeah.
That joke barely eked out. The mojitos are weighing down your wit.
Them DP drums are really fucking your gut, guy.
Damn.
So with Randy's 2, that's going to put our aggregate at a 2.2. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Blood and Lace.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, y'all. So this is normally the segment in which I'll have these gentlemen guess to the best of their abilities what the aggregate scores are on RottenTomatoes.com for this film. There's normally a critic review, critic aggregate, and an audience aggregate. But because this is an underseen, underknown movie, there is no critic consensus at all. There's only 4 reviews counted for that. So they did not aggregate anything. The audience score, on the other hand, there are 100 plus ratings, so that's enough to at least give us a number.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys guess this. We'll start with Rob this week. Rob, what do you think that the users, the 100+ users, thought of this movie? 0 to 100% aggregate.
It can't be that high. I don't even think it's going to be as high as the comedy number. I'm going to go even lower than that. Give me
That's not funny at all.
58%, please.
58. Just taking one digit off of each of the comedy number.
That's what I did. Yeah.
There you go. Well done. I see your mathematical wit. Soju, what about you? Where are you going with this one?
I think that's way too high. I do not have nearly as much faith in this film, even though I found some things surprising about it. Even this isn't even one of those movies where I would say like, oh, the people came out to support this like cult classic. I don't think it falls under that category. I'm pretty blown away that Luke picked it, to be honest with you. And I'm going to take it much lower. And I'm going to say Rob went so high. So I'll just play it safe. I'll say like 45.
45. All right. Well, Soju's going to take it, but it was much lower than even you thought. This is a 22% certified rotten.
I was playing it safe. I almost said 35, but I didn't have any faith that this film was going to be anywhere close to being high.
Yeah, this is not a well-liked film among the 100+ reviewers in the audience. Let's see what some of these 4 reviews say. There's only one here that's positive from the critics, that is. I usually like to read one at random. Here's one negative review. Blood and Lace is pure trashy silliness, but its bonkers story curves do provide a certain oddball allure. I actually agree with that.
Yeah, I actually agree with that too.
Yeah, I think it's a very niche audience that would like really dig this, but for me, it's like, yeah, it's just crafted really, really poorly, and it's tough to get past a lot of that shit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Also, I want to add, Luke, if you want to call in and tell Justin to suck your D, go ahead and do that, and then we'll turn that into a little bump.
Are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
Oh, Rob's dictating the bumps now. I see.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and dig out some of Rob's dirty old bumps from the past. I'll bring those to light.
Dusty ass bumps. Sorry, Randy. Were you reading another one?
Yeah, I was just like, because there's so few of them, I'm interested to see what these all say. So Gloria Graham has come out of retirement for a movie called Blood and Lace. The picture is so bloody awful it can't do very much to further her new career. That is the woman from It's a Wonderful Life. So she's been in quite a few things. She came out of retirement for this. I mean, that was obviously so
that's a poor choice.
Bad choice. There's also the supporting roster includes some familiar faces: Vic Tayback as a lecherous detective, Lynn Lesser as a lecherous handyman, and Dennis Christopher as a teenager who's decidedly not lecherous, but does raid the fridge a lot.
Hell yeah. He's so hungry.
OP. I love that was his shtick because he was so fucking skinny.
That's like that seems like such a 70s sitcom sort of thing where it's like, we have a character, we don't know what to do with him. We'll just make him real hungry all the time.
Somebody feed this kid. Damn.
That's
he's like a Brady Bunch character in this fucking movie.
Yeah. That's something they do in House of. Like, it's just that girl who just likes to eat.
Yeah.
Sweet. Isn't that her name?
It's true. No, it's.
What is her name?
I don't remember. Is it fat?
It's not fat.
I don't remember.
I'll find out.
I can't remember, but I do love that movie. But that movie's bananas as shit.
Yeah.
So it defies the explanation. That movie.
So we don't really have any trivia, right? Juice. You
no.
Okay. Well, without further ado, I believe it's time to go hunting. We're talking Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the Week.
Juice, what is a Cooter and why are we hunting him?
Cooter is a character type and a straight, chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter, and we want Cooter with the most points. The 5 points are manipulation, smug arrogance, sexual deviance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness, boys, I don't think we're going to have any trouble catching a Cooter this week. Who wants to nominate the first Cooter?
It's a thick pond full of Cooters, this one.
It is.
Okay, let's go ahead, Bob.
Carruthers, right? It's got to be.
Let's start with Carruthers.
Yeah.
It's the clear choice, really, in many ways.
Her name is Mac, the girl who likes to eat.
Mac. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She was the only one. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but
I think
that's
it's McDonald's.
I guess, but was that like international? But I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
Carruthers is manipulative. He's manipulating like everybody in this movie. Yeah.
In different, weird, pointless ways.
Yeah.
Well, we know he's manipulating Ellie. Yeah, for sure, because he admits to that.
He manipulates the social worker. He manipulates Mrs. Deere.
So he also hits high on the sexual deviance because he literally blackmails a known minor who he's supposed to be looking out for to marry him, or else she has to go to prison.
Yeah, also, because she killed somebody. Also, he's like, I don't care if you killed somebody.
It's his daughter too.
But he doesn't. Okay, but he doesn't know. But he does know. He does know that he slept with their mom.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You do not want to be Eskimo brothers with your mom. I'm just going to put that out there.
Eskimo sisters.
Sisters, yeah.
I guess in this case, sure.
Sure.
I don't think what else is there? Patheticness? Pretty fucking pathetic to put on a rubber mask and chase people around just to see what they do as a detective?
Well, I mean, I would say
you had to detect.
I don't know. I would say he's pretty pathetic in almost every aspect in that he exists. Is that like the only reason he has his job is because nobody wanted to work weekends. The only reason how he's about to get a wife is because he's blackmailing a young girl. Like, I mean, almost anything.
A young murderer.
Yeah, aspect of this man is pathetic. So yeah, I would say pathetic. Did we hit smug arrogance yet?
No, not yet.
I don't think so. That one might be a little harder to hit for him.
That one is a little bit harder.
Because he doesn't really display arrogance about what he's doing. He just kind of does it.
Yeah.
He does.
It takes arrogance to enact these dumb plans, but
I will say when he has that meeting with the social worker in the bar in the beginning of the movie, he's pretty arrogant towards him. Like when he's talking about how both their relationships towards Ellie is like not professional. Like he's not afraid.
I thought that was a good gotcha towards that guy because he's like, you know what? I know some bullshit about you too, so let's not fuck around. On that level, I kind of was like, okay. But I was also reeling from the fact that this guy is openly basically saying like, well, yeah, I want to fuck this minor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So maybe like slight on that level, but like not entirely, maybe like half point there. I'm going to give him like the attire for the mask specifically.
Dude, the mask, he's also got some like heavy duty 70s porno sunglasses and bad comb back hair situation going on.
Sign of the times. It was 71.
Yeah,
I'll allow with the mask because of the explanation, because it doesn't make any like I know that you beat this man with a hammer, so I'm gonna wear this mask. It makes
me look like I burned victim.
No,
which I guess he was in a fire, but Jesus Christ, that doesn't. It didn't look convincing either. He's like, oh, this is theatrical makeup. No, that's a fucking Party City mask, bitch.
Also, too, like the whole like explanation around it is like the first time she saw him, she was in her room and he's standing over her with a hammer. And then they try to convince her it's like a dream. It's like, if you're awake, you're fucking awake. Like if you're like,
that's some gaslighting.
He'd have to like run out of the damn room. Like, I don't know.
Like Carruthers, I think hits it. Also, like Deer, like Miss Deer hits it. I think Credge hits it. The social worker, even maybe
the social. Yep.
Yeah. Well, they're all sexually deviant.
Yeah.
The only people who don't like maybe hit it is I would even say what's the Buck's name? Walter.
Walter.
Yeah, I would say Walter might hit it because he knowingly sleeps with that 16-year-old. So sexual
even
deviance.
Acknowledging that it's weird to do that, and he's like, "No, I would never." And
I would say it's pathetic. Like Randy said, that he knows that there's a young girl upstairs who's being tortured and punished for like nothing and does nothing.
Yeah.
I would also say like the manipulation, how he like snitches on that girl to keep her there. He's like, I don't want her to go, and just like snitches on her. Like that's some manipulation.
Yeah,
totally
fuck that,
dimes
dude.
on her.
God damn.
So I would say literally like Walter, the cop, the orphanage owner, the handyman, like almost everybody.
Like every single like adult in this movie.
Even Ellie to some extent.
Even Ellie,
I don't know. Like
yeah,
she manipulates people into thinking that she's a murderer.
Maybe that's why Luke picked this movie. It's full of cooters.
It is chock full of cooters.
Cooter the movie. Is what
I just gave you an out, Luke. So take it.
yeah.
How
You're
gracious
welcome,
of you,
buddy. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. Okay,
that's the DP talking.
I don't usually show mercy.
That's Justin's double penny talking right now. And it also isn't penetrating you. That's a bummer.
Bob, you need to make a tiki tiki drink called the double penny.
The double penny.
It's got to have Dr. Pepper in it.
And
you don't
pennies.
put sodas in a tiki drink. Get out of here. What are you doing? I
make
don't know,
a simple,
in Long
make
Island,
a simple syrup from Dr. Pepper, and then you can add it.
Just reduce it like a.
That's just Dr. Pepper syrup. Like that's the shit that we put in movie theaters.
Yeah,
true.
Make that shit come out.
Do it.
I got a line on some. It's expired.
Come on, John.
I'll get
do it. Say yes. Say yes, Bob.
Do it now.
Oh, yes. Bob. Yes, Bob.
Yes.
The old double penny. All right, let's move on.
I don't know, like fucking everybody in this movie. I don't know if we have a cooter of the week. It's like fucking everybody.
I think that just for the sheer volume of red flags, I think Carruthers has got to be of the week.
Sure,
it's just like everybody hits a lot of points. It seems like, and everybody can like all those people can be qualified as a cooter, but he hits several points on a few points.
I mean, blackmailing your daughter to marry you is pretty high up there.
Yeah, that's a short sentence that should lock just about anybody down as a cooter of the week.
We'll give it to Carruthers. There's plenty others, but Carruthers is our official cooter of the week. We got him.
Do it. We got him. We got him.
Nice applause. It is time to get into the social hour, gentlemen's. We are letting our hair down. We're talking about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Hey Randy, what you been watching?
Right now I'm watching Soju recumbent in bed, and it's just like it's weirdly distracting.
Behind the scenes.
It is weird.
I feel like over the pandemic with all the Zoom meetings, there would always the one guy who's just like sitting there with like a half tee on, like just munching on Cheerios.
He's got a crop top. You see his nipples.
Yeah, he's got
out.
a crop top and Crocs on, and he's got them kicked up.
That's not even quite half.
Yeah, it's like a quarter tee, maybe.
It's mesh, of course.
Of course.
Anyway. Yeah, so what have I been watching? So I am caught up with Loki, and I'm pretty convinced that barring some really bad situation in the final episode, writing situation, this is going to be my favorite thing they've put out as a show, although I haven't finished Captain America or Falcon Winter Soldier, excuse me. Captain America Light, I like to call that show. And, you know, I think it's honestly like I'm shocked that they're doing as well as they have post Avengers Endgame. It's not bad, and I expected this to really drop once the focus had left, but they kept some sort of focus, and to make some sort of like Doctor Who facsimile in the Marvel universe. I'm not a big Doctor Who guy, but I think that fits very fucking well, and this feels the most like a comic book of any of the fucking properties of Marvel, in my opinion, and like that includes the Avengers movies, which to me was kind of the gold standard for a movie that feels like a comic book.
Yeah.
You know, so I give it credit. So far, so good with that. And, you know, even if it's just I've always complained that it's always setting up the next thing, and I'm sure it will be the same sort of thing with this because of the multiverse situation, and we have a movie coming out called Multiverse of Madness, so I'm sure it's setting some shit up.
And that show called What If? That shit looked pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie.
That seems more like disassociated, though, which I could appreciate that. Like,
yeah.
That to me is more like the MODOK show where it's like just kind of its own thing that they're doing. I appreciate that as well. But anyway, I'm pretty into it. I think it's well written. Fucking Hiddleston is just a fucking behemoth of an actor. He does so great in this show. So it's good. I watched the second episode of that show, Kevin Can Fuck Himself, and it's really fucking interesting. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm still unclear how they can keep this plate spinning for very long.
Yeah, you seem to be liking it, though.
Yeah, the problem is that that's the end of the free episodes, and I can't remember the service now, but it's like CBS All Access or so, I don't know. It's something I don't have access to that I would have to, I would have to get access to in order to.
If you want to give Randy your password,
I won't share it. I promise. Let's see. So yeah, I'm interested in that. I think that's a fucking fascinating show. And if somebody is watching it regularly, please call in and let us know if it continues being fascinating. I also watched Fear Street 1994. Haven't seen the 70s one yet, even though it did come out this week. And I've enjoyed that. I enjoyed that movie quite a bit. I didn't think I would. It's not super smart. And you guys were right on the money saying it's got like a CW element to it. Yeah. But it also packs a couple of wallops in terms of like, they go hard on a couple of things, which I appreciate. And also considering what it is adapting, this feels like, of course it should have a CW feeling. This is a series made for teenagers to read that are horror teen things from the 80s. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. So to me, it's like tonally a good adaptation, if not an adaptation that I feel like is going to break any molds or win any fucking awards. I don't think it's really that kind of thing. And I enjoy it on the level that it's presenting itself so far. And also, there's a lot of fucking 90s jams thrown into that thing.
Dude, too many. Oh my Lord.
Too many, but I would be lying if I said I didn't get some nostalgia vibes from it. So I'm a weak man I have weaknesses. And then last but not least, well, actually probably
weak for that 9
definitely least.
Huh, Randy?
Well, yeah, man, you know me. Shook is the movie that I watched. We totally at random, pretty much. Becky and I just wanted to watch a horror movie, and we're like, this is fine. We just need to press play on something and stop fucking looking around. And this is a movie that was dumb. It's tough. It's about a influencer makeup guru type of girl who is taking care of her sister's dog, and her friends are like TikToking, whatever the fuck the children do now.
They're up to.
They're like, they're trying to get her to come over, and it's basically like a really dumb level critique of like social media and all this shit. And it makes up a disease that's very obviously a correlation to a real world disease that her mother had and her sister has, the lead actress in this movie, or the lead character in this movie. And I was a little offended on that front because it's like, oh, we're just going to avoid controversy by calling it something other than what it clearly is supposed to be. And it's a really serious fucking disease involving like deteriorating mental and physical health. And they also use that. They use it the way that people have frequently used like bipolar disorder wrongly in movies. It's just like, it's kind of ableist and fucked up. And I just not into it. I don't know. It had a few redeeming qualities to it, but it was dumb, and I was not a fan. Sorry, Shook. That's it.
Tight. Juice, what you been watching?
I also watched Loki, like Randy, and have really been enjoying it. I said like after the first or second episode that I felt like it was the most cohesive Disney Plus Marvel property so far, and I think that they've still earned that. I really like the entire package. I think they just have one episode left, and I hope they end it well, because so far it has been just so on point, and I've really enjoyed just almost everything about it. The aesthetic, like the storyline, like just kind of the out of the box thinking that they've gone with. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that as well. I watched the new Netflix docuseries that came out. It's called Sophie, A Murder in West Cork, and it is about a French woman who was killed in the 90s in her European style, except she was killed in her vacation home in like this very desolate area in Ireland. It's in the West Cork area, but I believe the little town is called Skull, and it's very interesting. Actually, it's only 3 episodes, and I actually really enjoyed it for many different reasons. And I don't want to give too much about it away, but it ties into the idea that she was a French woman who was killed in Ireland, essentially. So it has a lot of like cultural impacts, like how do the French prosecute people? Well, how do the Irish do it? And like the differences between that, and how like trials are pursued, and how evidence is like gathered and stuff like that. So it does the normal stuff where it kind of follows the police investigation from the Ireland side, but then it goes into other things of like, well, what impact did it have like in the media? How did it affect like Irish citizens? How did it affect French citizens? How did it affect the families and like the people living in this small town of Skull? They literally said it was the only murder recorded in the past like 100 years. That's like how isolated this town was. It's how like peaceful it was. And so it was like a shocking, and she just so happened to be the wife of this like really big producer in France. So she was there. It happened like right before Christmas. There's just so many like little very intriguing details about this case. And it's like one of my favorites. I'm definitely going to be doing a mini series on it. A mini episode. Thank you. A mini cast on it. But it was good. I really enjoyed it, and I like burned through it like as fast as I could, actually.
How long is it?
There's 3 episodes, and they're all about an hour-ish, shorter, like 55
I've heard
minutes.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that it's a good one.
It was good. I really, really enjoyed it. It's just got like so many interesting details. And without giving it away, there's like one more even like very specific, interesting detail that is also like wrapped into it. So it's very good. I really enjoyed that. I've been rewatching Stranger Things 3. It blows my mind that that's Bob's favorite. I already told him this week.
It's fucking good, man. I love it.
It's really not like
that's your favorite. Did I know that?
He's mentioned it a couple times. He rewatched it a couple months ago, and I decided to rewatch it because of like the summertime vibes. And don't get me wrong, like it's like still okay, but like this feels like the most pandering season. And I know I believe at the time, I think I've rated them 4.54. So like it's lost its value over time. I think it's even lower than that. Rewatching it for me has like lowered its value. And I feel like it's the most pandering thing. Like the whole subplot of like Steve and like his squad, like even the outfit, I was like, they literally designed this outfit for people to wear them to cons. Like that's what I feel
designed
about
that
like
to make Funko Pops.
Yeah, like I just feel like so much is just pandering for money and like con's sake, like so much of it. And so much of it just like looks like bullshit anyways. Like anything that's involved with like the Russian subplot looks like a cheap 90s made, like something off Are You Afraid of the Dark or something. It's like looks so fucking plastic. Damn. It just like I don't get it. I don't think it's that great.
Has completely diminished for me as well. And not just in terms of like season to season, but like it was just such a huge fucking flare up of a show. It just took over everything for so long that there was a fatigue like built into that thing as well. And the show is not good enough to support that, in my opinion, pretty much overall.
Rob also claimed that was like the best monster. And like, I think today or yesterday, I was watching the episode where like the mind flayer is like rolling through the hospital or whatever. And I was like, no,
dude, that monster is incredible. I mean, it's basically
I don't remember it. So
it's basically the Blob, but it's like
Yeah.
it's the Mind Flayer, but it's composed of like a bunch of melted people's
Flesh.
corpses that like congeal into this
Now-
creature. It's fucking incredible. I think.
Now that idea
even you describing that, I cannot
is
remember
spooky.
this.
Yeah, I don't think
not
it looks that good. So I maybe I'll finish that, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's still like, I want them to finish the season, and I'm still got to give credit. Like it's the kids still do a good job, and like all the things that were there before it, but it literally just feels like so much pandering that it's like it's hard to stomach sometimes.
I mean, if you feel like that
felt that way
season
about
is
the
pandering,
Simpsons.
the whole fucking show is that way, man. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it's
it
more
is.
so season 3 than any
You're
other
so close to
season.
getting it.
Like season 2 is just Ghostbusters like jizzing all over your
That's
face. Like
one
yes.
episode.
I mean, yeah, but that's like if you're talking about like con shit, like come on, like I don't know.
I'm talking about a whole entire subplot that lasts the entire 10 episodes that was created for kids to dress
Guys,
up and go
they
to a
have an
con.
ET moment in season 1. I mean,
yeah,
this is not a show. This is more remix of a show than it is
Yeah.
a show.
It's remix for
Yeah.
sure.
Which, you can like that fine, but to me, like the adoration for this thing is way overblown.
Yeah.
Overall.
Anyways,
So yeah, that's a whole conversation we could have another time.
Yeah.
it's dropped for me for sure. I also watched. Now this is going to be funny. Coming off of that, I'm gonna come to another circle. On Netflix, they have. I don't know if they have all of them, but they have like at least the first 3 of the Underworld on there. So I watched the first Underworld. Man, I really enjoy that movie, and I would love for us to cover that on this movie. Essentially, that movie, I was thinking even like when it came out, 2003, it's essentially like a love child of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The Matrix, which both came out in the late 90s. This came out in 2003. And I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's an action horror. And I think I like also Kate Beckinsale is, smoking, and then Bill Nighy kills it, dude.
He does.
So I mean, there's like some really great like positive highlights in there, but just in its baseline, knowing when it came out and like the whole Matrix, Buffy the Vampire Slayer like combination, we have action films like, okay, the president's getting taken over, or like Fast and the Furious and cars and shit. I just like that there is this horror franchise that like is enjoyable to me that takes like horror into action. It's just fun. Like it's just fun for me. I think also too, like we've talked about Trick or Treat a lot, and I think like it's the same werewolf design. The same people who created those werewolves did Underworld, and I think they're some of like the best like modern looking werewolves. We don't get a lot of werewolf movies because it's so hard to like capture that. I think they're some of the best looking ones, and I still think that even that movie's now like 18 years old. I think they still hold up pretty well. So I watched that. I actually really do enjoy that movie a lot, and I would love for us to cover at some point. And then the final thing, I just watched the first episode, so not too deep into it, but there's a new Resident Evil show on Netflix. It's animated. I think they're doing 2. I think one's going to be live action, one's going to be animated. This is the animated one. I think it's called Infinite Darkness. It's got Claire and Leon in it. And it at least takes place after 4 because Leon's in it and the president's like, thanks for saving my daughter. So I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here. But I just did the first episode, so don't have a lot of like strong opinions yet. The animation style is okay. It's that realistic kind of hyper realistic animation style, where at times you're like, is it animated? And then you're like, oh yeah, it is animated. So it's that style, but it's okay.
Kind.
Yeah, I'll definitely finish that up and might do a mini cast on that one too.
Resident Evil Polar Express.
Yeah, kind of. But that's all I've been watching. Bob, what have you been watching, my guy?
I've been watching a lot. I'm going to try and blast through this and make it kind of quick. First off, I had like an A24 double feature the other night.
Okay.
I went to the theaters, watched Zola, Zola. It's this movie. Apparently it's like based on a true story. I'd never heard of it until I saw the trailer for this movie. It's about these 2 strippers that I guess like decided to take a road trip down to Tampa and strip in a strip club in Tampa. Yeah, and shit just like got really out of hand.
Shit! Is this the one that was like a viral meme or some shit?
So the whole story was like,
I don't remember the story, but I remember it being a big like internet thing.
Yeah, it was an internet thing. The whole story was like tweeted, I guess, and there was like a subreddit posted by one of the strippers. That,
I do remember
off.
this.
Yeah, it was like a whole crazy winding story that I guess somebody thought would make a really interesting movie, and I enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed the hell out of it. This is not in any way a horror movie. I guess some people are like comparing it to Spring Breakers, but like I hate Spring Breakers so much. Like I can't fucking stand that movie. This was like really entertaining to me though.
Bob, no.
Bob, yes.
Bob, no.
Bob,
no.
yes. Yeah, it's a short movie, man. It's like right at 90 minutes. It's just sort of like this girl makes one really terrible decision, and then she's just like trying to navigate the next like 48 hours of her life, trying to stay alive. Really, essentially, is what's happening. Really interesting. Definitely like got a heavy dose of comedy in there. There's some twists and turns, and it's pretty interesting. I recommend it. The other A24 movie I checked out is a movie that's on Hulu streaming. It's called False Positive. This movie is basically about a married couple. They're trying to have a kid. They're having a hard time doing it. They go to the doctor, and he helps them get pregnant. It's fine. There's like some twists and turns in there as well. I was
gonna say, because right now it just sounds like a Discovery Channel show.
Yeah, I mean it gets a little scary, I guess.
TLC show.
The doctor's played by Pierce Brosnan, who like start to finish is like just creepy Cooter motherfucker. Like this movie's like too heavy-handed for its own good, I feel. Like they're just broadcasting everything from start to finish. I wish it was a little like more subtle. Like it just would have been more successful. I didn't like hate it, but I didn't dig it, to be honest. It could have been better than it was. And anyway, it's on Hulu, so like if you want some A24 that's easy to access, that's new, check out False Positive. Also, I watched this movie called Whip It. I'd never seen this before. It's from Ellen Page is in it.
Elliot now, but yeah.
Elliot. Bob.
Sorry. Elliot Page is in it. So yeah, it's from 2009. This movie is directed by Drew Barrymore. I didn't know that Drew Barrymore was a director at all. She's also
Me neither.
She's also in the movie. It's got Kristen Wiig in it as well. It's basically it's about a
roller derby, right?
Yeah, roller derby team in Texas, and it's very comedic, very funny. It's
is it very comedic? I was a little unclear. The posters and so on, they really seemed more dramatic to me.
It's got a lot of comedy in it. Like there is definitely some drama. Don't get me wrong.
I thought it was maybe like a dark comedy sort of thing.
Like Elliot Page's character in the movie, she's like the 17-year-old girl, and she's living in like a little tiny podunk town in Texas. She comes across roller derby, and she's like really wanting to do it, but she's like underage, so she lies and tells him she's like 22. You got to be 21 to play in roller derby, I guess. So like she starts playing roller derby, and her parents find out, and there's some drama in there, but like you got all of her teammates are just like fucking hilarious. Like Drew Barrymore, Kristen Wiig are like, busting balls the whole time. Their coach is like, it's a Wilson brother. It's not Luke or Owen, but it's Aaron, I think.
What?
Is his name. There's a third brother.
Third Wilson?
There's a third one. Yeah, I didn't know.
The name's Third Wilson.
Third Wilson. But like, I was watching it with Alice, and it's like we're like, this dude sounds exactly like Owen Wilson. So we gave it a quick Google, and it's just his brother, who I guess exists. Yeah.
That's weird.
That's
weird, brother. What?
Yeah, he's got another one. I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. Like, hard recommend. Whip It. I don't like. Really, really fucking enjoyed it. It's funny. Had me busting a gut. Last thing I want to talk about. It's a new Shudder original. This movie is called Sun. I think this just dropped on Shudder this week, actually. So this is like new. It's got Andy Matichek in it, so she's the girl from the Halloween movie 2018. Laurie Strode's like granddaughter. She's like sort of the star of this movie. The movie starts off with her like escaping a cult. She was like raised in a cult. She escapes. She gives birth to her son, and there's like problems with her son as he's growing up and getting older. And I don't really want to say more than that because it would kind of spoil the movie. I will say that as far as like Shudder exclusives go, this is probably my favorite I've seen of the year so far. I really, really enjoyed this movie. They're not reinventing the wheel in any way. You're going to watch this and it's going to remind you of some other shit.
That description gives me some Hereditary vibe.
Yeah, like, I don't want to confirm or deny it, but it's got solid ass performances. This kid is like so innocent, but like fucking terrifying at the same time. Andy Matichek does a great job. It plays a nice balancing act where it like sort of lets you know what's going on, but doesn't show you too much. They don't nun your ass with like crazy CGI bullshit. I really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend check out Sun on Shudder. And
I'm prepared
to be bedazzled. That's it. That's all I've been watching this week. That's all I want to talk about. We got one more segment to get into. It's our Hotline Scream. Let's do it.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We get 4 voicemails this week, I believe. First up, we're going to hear from Logan. Let's hear what she has to say.
What up, Straight Chillin' crew? It's Logan calling in from Austin, Texas. So I know the prompt for, I guess, a couple weeks ago, which is this week's prompt, is to shit on Randy. So, Randy, fuck you for the money. But that's it. I think you're great, and you hype my climbing videos up on the Slack channel sometimes, so I guess we're cool. So, Jew, I got a little something for you. Hell yeah! That was for checking out Deerskin. I thought it was really cool that you liked it, and I hope to hear you guys cover that movie one day. So it's an interesting watch, and I think that you guys would all really enjoy it. So, yeah, thanks to you guys for all the great entertainment that I get on my administrative days at work and on all my shitty-ass commutes and my crazy long drives to and from Austin to Dallas, to Austin to Dallas. So, yeah, y'all are great, and can't wait to hear more from you.
That's like a 4-hour drive.
That's a long fucking drive. Hey, Logan, I have something to say.
Tell her she can kiss my grits.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Also, thanks for the hell yeah, Logan. I forgot to get one from Bob for my victory today.
Logan's got me covered. NBD.
Thanks, Logan.
I enjoy just randomly giving Randy shit. So thank you, Logan, for knocking that out for us.
Yeah.
You're a monster.
Randy's avoided beef for too long on this show.
Goddamn long.
I can tell you with absolute specificity that I do not avoid beef. I love it.
Only
love
pork.
It.
Randy will not be pork.
Chipped, roasted, fucking sliced, fucking Italian style. Give me that shit.
Boiled.
How about hoghead cheese?
Steamed.
Hog what?
No, that's pork.
How about pork rinds?
Also pork.
I feel like your understanding of the concept of beef is faulty.
What about beef rinds? You like them?
Yeah, you like beef, huh? You want this rum ham?
Pork chops?
I want rum beef.
My favorite kind of beef is bacon.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Logan. Always good to hear from you. Keep climbing and keep making those long distance drives, listening to our bullshit.
If you must.
Next up, we're going to hear from our boy Tom. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, Tom.
Show me the way to go home, bum, bum, I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago and it's gone straight to my head. Whoa, wherever I may roam, on land or sea or form, you can always hear me singing a song. Show me the way to go home, bum, bum, bum. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Okay, bye.
Nice.
Old tired Tom over here.
Tired Tom calling in to let us know how tired he is.
So goddamn tired.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for serenading us, brother. It's
that was
always
good
good to
shit.
hear from you. Keep singing us lullabies, We just love it. We love it.
Yeah, that's the prompt. Call in and sing your favorite public domain song.
Yeah. Sing straight chillin' to
Public
sleep.
domain.
Make sure that shit's free, please.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys got 2 voicemails left. Soju's fading.
All right, we got 2 more. Soju's
You're
on
putting a clock on us.
time
We got a crunch time now. Soju wants to nap.
Shaboy's been double pinning all night long. He's exhausted.
DP in that fucking shit.
We got next up. I believe we're hearing from B Strokin. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey boys, just calling in to say what's up. Bob, how you doing? I'll leave that. How you doing? Making some classy drinks lately. Happy to hear it. Juice, doing good? Family doing good? Glad to hear it. Randy, you son of a bitch! You motherfucker! You're gonna come up in here. Jaws episode, right? Last episode, great episode. Loved it. Nothing to complain about. Almost nothing to complain about. But then, you hit us up with your salty seaman voice singing a beautiful sea shanty. And you give us 2 measly fucking lines. My heart broke. You sang first line, it was great. I was like, oh shit. Bob was jacked up. He was like, oh yeah, this is sick. And then, second line, oh, voice of an angel. And then you just stopped. So, I mean, I guess that's what you're doing. And then, you start again, end of the episode. Friggin' start her up again. And then I got my hopes up. I was like, oh, is he going to sing a bit more? Sing more than 2 lines? No, doesn't matter. No. So, you know what? Everyone's saying, oh yeah, Randy, no one's got beef with Randy. No one's got beef. Well, I got some beef. Hit us up with that sultry voice, you see dog, and let us hear some more of your shanty. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks, Stroking.
I be stroking.
That was his signature. So you should be pretty pleased with the call from Tom, I would imagine, because we joined in. You got some more. The sad truth is that sea shanty, I have a very, very hard time remembering the last 2 lines of that song because they're like in like fucking Willem Dafoe and the Lighthouse speak. It's for we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. That's a difficult line to remember correctly.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry, but you know, I am but a human man. So may the beef remain forever on the roll, and it will not be squashed.
The beef will remain forever cheesed. Thank you for yelling at Randy yet again. Keeping this train rolling. Thanks for
it's big fun, baby.
Thanks for calling in and stroking all over Randy. Be stroking. It's always good to hear you stroke. Speaking of stroking, last but not least, we're gonna hear from old Jack. Let's hear what Jack has to say.
Listen, straight chillin'. It's Jack. It's your boy. You're reviewing Jaws this week, so I'm going to drop my eyes like a proper New Englander and call you up and leave you a fucking message. Look, I ain't seen Jaws. I've never watched Jaws. Jaws is not my forte. Fucking sharks guy. I don't know what to say. If you want to see some fucking sharks, go to the zoo. Go to the fucking aquarium. I mean, fucking Cape Cod. Every motherfucker, every cocksucker from Cape Cod thinks that they're son of a bitch because they swim in the ocean. They're like, dude, we got sharks. Like, you ain't got sharks, kid. Don't let it. I don't want to talk about Jaws, though. I want to talk about breakfast foods. I had a great 4th of July. It was phenomenal. And I went to a diner, and I had some waffles. But they did me wrong, guys. They did me fucking wrong. Because I ordered a fucking waffle, and they came out with these 2 little Belgian dinky-doo waffles, like the small little, like they can fit in your fist. And it's like, I just paid fucking like $12 for some fucking waffles, and I could have bought pancakes and got like significantly more food. And now you're giving me these little dinky-doo waffles, and I ate them like a gentleman. I tipped the waitress. It was great. But, yeah, see, I'm a waffle guy. If I'm going to a diner, I'm going to get waffles. I'm going to get sausages. Fuck, I'm going to get a fucking hash browns. You know, it's all good. But if you go to a diner, what is your go-to order? That's my question this week. You know, are you a pancake guy? You a French toast guy? Do you fuck with the real maple syrup from Vermont? Or do you get like fucking Mrs. Butterworth and, you know, you're this low-class gentleman who doesn't even want to fuck with it? I mean, I don't know what to say to you. It's a fucking joke, all right? I'll check in you next week. Shout out to movies from New England, by the way. I don't know. I've never seen Jaws, so I hope they all talk like this. If they don't, they're not doing it right. You ever seen the movie It from 2017? I think you guys reviewed that one. Dude, none of those kids sound like they're from fucking Maine. Like, what the fuck is that? Someone phone up Finn Wolfhard, tell him to put on a start dropping his fucking eyes, start talking a little slow. Everyone from Maine drops a shitty pickup truck. All right, it's dope. So.
Damn.
That's one of my favorite calls ever. I think.
Jack coming out swinging.
It's pretty good. That's a good call. That's the only thing that would make Jaws better is to hear everybody speaking like that, honestly.
Dude, actually some diner food sounds really good right now.
Nothing makes the concept of somebody who's never seen Jaws more palatable than putting that accent on it. I loved that.
Yeah. Time to hit up the old Waffle House. Damn.
Dude, I don't know. For breakfast diner food, I don't eat pork, so I don't eat like the bacon or anything like that. And I know that's sacrilege to many people, but what I do, I'll usually get like a beef hash if it's available, and if not, then I'll usually go with a just flapjacks, baby, just flapjacks. Yeah. And yeah, I do fuck with the true syrup, not the.
Dude, whatever. I like to get some salty ass hash browns and put some syrup in that shit, like on some salty hash browns.
I'm not big on that, but I can understand the appeal.
Dude, that shit's good.
Weird.
I'm not a picky man. I like flapjacks. I like waffles. If they were up in the air, it'd probably depend on my mood, but I like the idea of waffles right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely do a waffle from time to time, but flapjacks is the go-to.
I usually
eggs. Oh man.
Yeah, I stick heavy protein. Like I don't typically go for waffles or flapjacks. However, if I had to choose one or the other, it's always flapjacks for me. I'm not a big waffle guy, but I'm like an eggs and bacon guy. Give me like biscuits and gravy. Maybe give me
biscuits and gravy.
Fucking cheese grits. Like that's what I need. Well, I need hot sauce on all of it, please.
Do you kiss your cheese grits?
Yes, dude, all the time.
Dude, cheese grits, we're all Southerners and we all like savory grits, right?
Yeah.
Like
You can kiss my grits.
Dude, I found out people put sugar in their grits, and that sounds like blasphemy.
It's a New England thing. That shit's weird.
Becky will do that. Is that a New England thing?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
I don't know. Becky does that, and I don't like grits to begin with. I'm not a grits guy.
Dude,
I really
I'll take
do not like the texture of a grit. I don't like them cheesed. I don't like them plain. I don't like them sugared.
Dude,
keep the fucking things out of my face.
Baked cheese grits. Oh my lord.
God damn.
If they're not mushy, it changes things. And for the same reason I hate oatmeal. I just hate the mushy shit, man. I just can't do it.
All right.
It's vomiting.
Nice. Give me a nice thick omelet with like fucking
Ooh, yeah, that
ham
sounds
and
Biscuits and gravy.
bacon in it.
I will make you boys some biscuits and gravy one day. I've been perfecting the recipe.
I
for
love
myself.
biscuits and gravy. God,
Chocolate gravy, boys. Dude, we were talking about, Nicole
right,
hit us up on Slack talking about that chocolate gravy. That's something I
I've
grew
never
up
had
with.
that. I really do want
Chocolate
to try
and
it.
biscuits, dude. Oh my lord.
We'll do a
That shit's
biscuit.
so good.
Yep.
All about the biscuits,
We
son.
got Biscuit Week at Straight Chilling this week coming up. We're all eating biscuits.
I hope so.
Get
This
flaky
is
with
the new
us.
podcast under the Straight Chilling banner called Biscuit Boys. We're doing our biscuits every week,
Biscuit
whatever way we can.
Send us your best biscuits and we'll enjoy them. Thanks.
Please do it express or overnight.
Thanks for calling, Jack. Good to hear from you. That shit was wild. Call in again and curse at us. It's dope.
Dude, curse with that accent. I'll accept anything you have to say just about.
Yeah. If you want to hit us up, do so at 904-638-3231. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode. As always, we're going to be continuing on with our Patreon picks for the third quarter of 2021. Next movie was chosen by Michael. The movie is Birdemic from 2010.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Notorious film.
I was at Bob's house recently and saw that the Birdemic Blue has been purchased.
Locked it down. Locked and loaded. Ready to go.
It's got a blue and it's been bought.
Yeah.
It's that's a movie that demand. That's like it's entering Wiseau territory. That movie.
Whoa.
It seems to be the case. I watched the trailer, and it kind of looks that way. Severin,
I thought it was fake.
Severin put that shit out on Blue, so if you want to get a physical copy, you can do so. It's pretty easy to
buy
come
it from
by.
our link next week on YouTube.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Give us them kickbacks, bitch.
That's where you'll buy it and you'll thank us for it.
That's what you will do, bitch.
Diddy stains out.
Slam your eyeballs into Birdemic from 2010. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the daily Slack channel conversations, just hit us up on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link to join in on the fun. Et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Birdemic. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.